Hey everyone, so let's talk about referencing. If you've ever felt that little bit of panic when you see the words reference list, you are definitely in the right place. Over the next few minutes, we're going to completely demystify the IIE Harvard Anglia style. The goal here is to make you so confident with it that you can just focus on your actual work. Let's do this. So be honest, does putting together a reference list kind of stress you out? Yeah, for a lot of people it does. It can feel like this big, complicated puzzle with a million little rules. But I promise you, it's actually a really simple system. And by the end of this, you're going to know exactly where every single piece goes. Okay, first things first, and this is super important. The style we're talking about today, the IIE Harvard Anglia style, is for all of your non-law modules. If you're a law student, you're using a completely different system. So just park that in the back of your mind as we go through everything. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down the core system, the why behind it all. Then we'll get our hands dirty with the practical stuff, citing print sources and then digital ones. After that, we'll tackle some of the more unusual things like government documents and even social media. And we'll finish up with some pro tips for those times when a source just doesn't want to cooperate. Right, let's dive into section 1. Look, the absolute key to getting this right is understanding that it's all built on one simple idea, a two-part system. Once you get that, honestly, everything else just clicks into place. So, every single time you use someone else's idea, it's a two-part deal. Part 1 is the in-text citation. That's just a quick little signpost in your sentence, like Smith 2024, that points your reader to part 2. Part 2 is the full entry in your reference list at the very end of your assignment where you give all the juicy details. And why do we even do this? Well, yeah, it's about giving credit where it's due and, not plagiarizing. That's crucial. But it's also about you. It shows your marker the hard work you've put into your research, and it lets anyone reading your work follow your research trail and maybe even discover those same sources for themselves. All right, let's put this system into practice. We'll start with the stuff you'll be citing all the time in your academic journey, good old-fashioned books and journals. Okay, a classic single-author book. This one's pretty straightforward. Just look at the reference list entry. It follows a simple pattern. Author's last name and initial, year of publication, the title in italics, the city where it was published, and finally, the name of the publisher. That's it. And here's a key thing to remember. If you use a direct quote, you have to add the page number in your in-text citation. Now, journal articles, they look a little more complicated, right? But there's a good reason for all that extra info. It's all about precision. So, after the author, year, and the article's title, you added the journal's title in italics. Then you need the volume number, the issue number right next to it in brackets, and the exact page range of that specific article. It's like giving your reader a perfect map to find exactly what you found. Let's be real, most of our research is done online these days, so let's move into the digital world. Citing things like websites and ebooks follows the same logic, but we need to add a couple of extra details. When you're citing a website, the first part is familiar. You've got the author, which might be a person or a whole organization, like the World Health Organization here, the year, and the title. But, and this is a big but, for online sources, you have 3 extra things you absolutely have to add. The word online in square brackets, the full web address, and the date you actually accessed it. That last part is so important because, as we all know, websites can change or disappear overnight. Ebooks are a piece of cake if you know how to cite a regular book. You just do everything the same way, but you pop in the tag ebook right after the title. Now, here's a massive pro tip for you. When you grab the link, don't just copy it from your browser's address bar. Look for a permalink or persistent link on the database page. A normal URL might expire, but a permalink will always work. All right, now for the fun stuff. The world of sources is huge. You might be citing a super formal act of parliament in one paragraph and a viral TikTok video in the next. And guess what? As long as it's relevant to your argument, it's a valid source, and it needs a proper citation. Government documents can look a bit intimidating, but the logic is exactly the same. You just need to figure out who the author is. For something like a white paper, it's usually the government department that published it. For an act of parliament, the title of the act itself actually acts as the author. After that, you just follow the pattern, year, and the rest of the publication details. And yes, to answer the question I know is on your mind, you can 100% cite social media. If a post on Instagram or a video on TikTok makes a point that supports your argument, you should absolutely use it. It's a valid source. And the formula for this is actually really intuitive. So who's the author? It's just the username or the handle of the account. What's the title? Well, it's the caption or the first few words of the post. Then, just like any other online source, you add the platform name in square brackets, the date it was posted, the URL, and the date you accessed it. See? Simple. And just to show you how easy this is, take a look at this example. Everything you need is right there on the post. The username's at the top, the date's usually down by the comments, and the specific URL is right up in your browser's address bar. It's all there for you. Okay, but what about when things go wrong? When you've got a great source, but you just can't find a publication date or maybe a publisher. It happens more often than you'd think. But don't panic, there's a system for that too. If a piece of info seems to be missing, don't just give up and leave a gap. Instead, you're going to follow a simple 3-step process. First, just double-check the source. Seriously, sometimes the date is just hiding in a weird spot. Second, use your research skills. Do a quick search online for the source and see if you can find the missing detail. And only if both of those fail do you move to step 3. So if you've searched and you truly cannot find a year of publication, you're going to use this little abbreviation, SA.A, in square brackets. It stands for sine anno, which is just Latin for without year. Simple as that. You just pop it in where the date would normally go. And it's the same deal if you can't find the place of publication. In that case, you'll use SL, which stands for sine loco, or without place. And just so you know, there's even a third one, SN, for sine nomine, which you can use if the publisher's name is missing. Okay, one final point, and this one trips people up all the time. What is the difference between a reference list and a bibliography? A reference list includes only the sources you actually cited in the body of your work. A bibliography is a much broader list of everything you read for background, even if you didn't end up quoting it. Now, 99% of the time, you're going to need a reference list, but the golden rule is always check your assignment brief. So let's wrap this all up. What are the big things to remember? First, it's always a simple 2-part system. The little signpost in your text and the full details at the end. Second, every type of source, from a book to a TikTok, just as a simple formula you need to follow. Third, if it's online, you need that online tag, the URL, and the access date. No excuses. And finally, if something's missing, don't stress. Just use the right abbreviation. And that's really it. You are now totally equipped with the core principles of IIEF Harvard Anglia referencing. It's not some secret code or a dark art. It's just a system. And now you know how to work it. You've absolutely got this. Now go write that next assignment with complete confidence.